happen, hash at least based on the service resume. Good. I pierced my ear last night on a whim.
I almost got a tattoo the other night on a whim, but then the line was, it was at...
There was a line for tattoos?
So we went to Liberty, they had their 1 year anniversary since the people bought out the old owners at Liberty. Do you know Liberty on?
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, so a year ago they bought out Liberty from the old owners.
I didn't know that.
And so they were having their little party, and they had a tattoo artist there, and they were doing like $25.
They had a tattoo
It was that.
They had a tattoo artist at the at the bar.
Yeah,
oh, what could go wrong?
Well, I saw what he was doing, because you just had 5 choices of like simple little things that
Like
you could
Flash?
get. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but then there was like 20 people. I'm like, I'm not gonna wait here an extra hour to get a pineapple tattooed on my leg. You know what I mean?
What were the options?
It was a pineapple. There was like a mouth that was kind of like drooling a little bit, like lips and teeth with like a little bit of this.
I know what mouth is.
And then there was just being descriptive, Dave. It was like a cocktail shaker and a couple. It was like real simple stuff, but you know, whatever. I was down to do a small pineapple on my leg, like whatever. I don't care. But then it was like, I'm not down to wait 2 hours to do it though.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I could have done it, I would have done it.
Right. If you're first in line.
Or if I was just like in the process of me being there naturally, my name would have come up. I would have been cool. But I was like, I'm not gonna hang around extra for this.
Right.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Ooh.
Hello. Got speaking to them.
My SSN not close enough now.
Make sure your dealer is turned on.
Nope.
Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Hello.
Is this on?
Hello.
Hello. Looks like yours is.
I don't see a light though, is why I'm looking at it.
Hello.
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 I don't
Hello.
see a light either.
Okay. Try.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear. Okay, perfect.
What are we drinking?
Makers. Makers. Okay. Hi. Ready? And hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of Blood and Guts. We're the weekly culinary podcast that talks about food culture, and our feelings.
Yay.
Hooray.
Yay, feelings.
Emma Bent is joining us today, and we're going to talk about food and eating disorders.
Sweet.
Fun conversations.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. How do we want to jump into this?
Well, I guess the question I initially posed to you guys was, are there problems with disordered eating, like in the culinary world? Like, what? I don't understand that relationship that you guys have with food, and I was wondering if it becomes difficult at times or a control thing. I was just curious if there's anything like that.
I think in the kitchen world, there isn't so much. I mean, when I think of like eating disorders, I think of bulimia and anorexia, stuff like that. And I don't really see that in a kitchen so much because we are working with food and all that stuff. But I think from the house, there's definitely that issue and can be an issue for sure. What do you think, man?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that kind of stuff could be lurking kind of anywhere, and you wouldn't really know necessarily. Yeah. I would assume that maybe more front of the house and back of the house, just because, I don't know, people that are drawn to cooking, I don't know.
Yeah, have a okay relationship with food, I would imagine.
My thing was saying more what I would see more of, and what I've experienced myself is more like control eating or stress eating, like people that
Yeah,
kind of
there's a lot of
eat
that.
their feelings in the kitchen.
Right, right. So you see, yeah. So instead of the bulimia, anorexia, kind of trying to control your weight in
Just
a
more like a binging.
yes, there's much more of a binging sort of a feel.
Because you have to eat. If you're a cook, anorexia wouldn't really work because you have to eat.
Right.
Like,
you
to
have
do your
to
job.
Yeah, to be able to taste
So,
your food.
so that would be bad. You could totally be bulimic, but I mean, that I don't know. I
Right.
mean, I imagine that would be. I mean, it's possible.
Well, I
I'm
think
sure.
a big thing too is that, like, you know, when I think of those type of eating disorders, I don't really think of men being in that sort of thing, and the kitchen is predominantly male attributed. However, I feel you. I can see where you're going with this because I don't know. I think Nick kind of had an eating disorder when we were working with him, but
Rovers?
yeah.
Nick
A little bit.
Nick was.
But I think he was just
OCD.
young.
No,
Yeah.
he was OCD. He
Yeah.
used to count like oven knobs and stuff like that at the end of the night. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He used to count when he
Yeah.
locked the door. You'd
Right.
catch him counting under his
That's
breath.
legitimate OCD.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
totally.
right.
He was. I mean, I
Mm.
think it was. He had it somewhat under control. It wasn't
Right.
like too debilitating, but
Right,
there was.
right.
Remember, there was nights where we used to have to go in there and drag him out
Right.
because
Yeah,
he'd
we
be
gotta go, dude.
double, triple checking everything.
Right. Check all the
And
pilots.
it's like,
check
dude, we
all
want to
the
go drink.
Dude.
I think-
you gotta go.
I think there's a lot more of that. I think OCD is more common in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I don't know. I mean, I think men definitely have eating issues,
Mhm.
and they definitely have body dysmorphia issues. I think it manifests in different ways, maybe. But I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I think it probably manifests in different ways, and there's a lot more stigma around men
Right.
with eating disorders because there just is. Like, women
Right.
are told to just be skinny and look good, and that's a lot
Right.
more easily paired to disordered eating.
Mhm.
And I think disordered eating rather than eating disorder, because having it so like strictly classified as anorexia or bulimia puts a too strong a label on it for most people.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know. Sometimes I struggle with like a control aspect where if I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten much today. How much longer can I go not eating?
Right.
And I would never say I have anorexia, but there's like sporadic periods where I do kind of test myself and like not eat on purpose.
Right. Right.
So
Do you think that's do you find that's a conscious thing or a subconscious thing? Because I guess you're making the conscious effort to not, right?
After a certain point, it becomes a conscious thing, but it's probably a result of like other control things.
Right.
Looping back to men having eating disorders,
Mhm.
I think it's a lot more under wraps as well.
Right.
It's more stigmatized.
Mhm.
There's actually a really famous rugby player and rugby referee who came out as having bulimia for 20 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
And
so,
those guys have to like hoof up and down the field too, right?
yeah, but you
Yeah.
have to be in shape, you have to look good, just
Right.
having that mentality. And so it's a little bit different because it's not necessarily a relationship with food, which was
Right.
my initial question.
Right.
But I think it's probably better hidden in men.
I think it's funny too because it's more like in women, it's a lot of times it's the skinny person that you see. And like I saw this lady at the airport the other day who was just rail thin, and she was obviously like.
Right.
And in guys, I think it's pretty common, but it's more like all those bodybuilder types. A lot of those bodybuilder types, a lot of those really guys at the gym. That's body dysmorphia.
Mm.
That's some hardcore. It's just manifested in a different way. So I mean, someone looks like you. I know you don't have it, but someone that's all shredded, you wouldn't go, that guy has an eating disorder. But that guy might very well have an eating disorder, and it definitely has some sort of like. I think that's the same trigger that people that get too much plastic surgery, the anorexia, the body dysmorphia disorder. But I mean, they like exert control over their lives through working out way too much and restricting their diet.
Yeah, just like counting calories and like not swallowing your spit type thing. Like, I mean, that's a real thing. Like wrestlers, like even in high school, would do that to like really, really limit their calories and be on point for that lowest weight class.
Right.
So yeah, I guess I understand that more from an athletic perspective, but I was just curious how it would be in the kitchen. You said front of house. might be more, but you think that's
Yeah.
because the food's
Well-
always there, and so they didn't have to like consciously limit their consumption of it?
No, I
because
think
it's available?
I think it's for their appeal to the customer because they're working with tips, right? And so if we would live in a society that values skinny, pretty people, right, and you have that sort of impression when you're being a server, and for the customer too, right? You think that you're probably going to get a higher tip if you look better, right? And that there are studies that actually prove that, right?
Well, I mean, like, you want to talk about discrimination too, in just especially in the front of the house.
Yeah.
And I mean, not even just there's lots of discrimination, but a big one that nobody talks about is like, when's the last time you saw a butt ugly server?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's
or
not,
fat, or
yeah,
super fat, or
yeah,
whatever, or obese.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
go to a nice restaurant, you don't
Yeah.
see a lot of like grossly unattractive people.
No.
And that's kind of by
No.
design.
Right.
Yeah, it's true in a lot of arenas. There's been a multitude of scientific and psychological studies that by being more attractive, more like baseline attractive, so for things like physical, like symmetry,
Mm-hmm.
things like that, people trust you more.
Right.
People think you're smarter.
Right. Right.
Like
Yeah, and that's
they give you more credit.
Right? Yeah, more money. Do you think that's a social construct, or is that like something that just kind of we just kind of?
No, to some extent, it's
Yeah.
a social construct because we societally deem what is pretty, like that's another level to it. But
Right.
symmetry is that person will produce healthy children. So there's
Right.
a biological component as well that's exacerbated
So
by
crazy,
societal
yeah.
standards of beauty.
Right. So crazy. Like it's so funny because like there's there's this one chef I used to work with, and it was like when me and Shai were first dating, or whatever. And it's like I couldn't I hated him. I thought he was a shitty chef, but I didn't find him very attractive at all. You know, for whatever reason, right? And I was like, do you think he's attractive? I was just curious, right? And she's like, yeah, he's really symmetrical. And I was like, I never heard, I never heard that as a descriptor to be an appealing sort of a thing, or whatever. But I guess it is.
It's-
Yeah.
It's biologically baseline
Yeah.
that because you're naturally supposed to be symmetrical. Your body's
Right.
creating two sides.
Right.
And so if
Right.
one side's real jacked, you're like, nah,
Right.
something's not working there.
Yeah.
Like there's a picture of some football player who got arrested, just
Mm.
like popped up on my Facebook or something,
Yeah.
and like one of his eyes was like a noticeable
Right.
centimeter
Right.
above the other one. You're just
Right.
like, ooh.
Yeah. Oof.
Everyone's first response in the comments was like, what's wrong with his face? Like it's like, like
Right.
and even
Right.
if it's not that explicit, like
Right.
you can be like,
Yeah. That's crazy
Yeah.
too, because your body wants to be symmetrical too, you know? And maybe that's like feeds into the psychology of it, like what we find appealing, you know?
Well, and most of our bodies are not. Like that's
Well, right.
that's why it's so rare, and that's why when you see it, you're so attracted to it. Is
Mm.
because it is like kind of the most functional way to be. But most people have one foot that's a little bigger than the other, or one leg that's a little longer than the
Right,
other,
yeah.
or you know,
Yeah.
it's
I
pretty
don't know, I
common.
mean, like when I tore my bicep tendon or whatever, there are studies that said that like you should work out your other side of your body more,
Right.
right? So that it's not to make that other arm stronger, it's so that because your body naturally wants to be symmetrical to one another, however, it'll actually prevent atrophy in that arm, in that muscle, or whatever.
Right.
Isn't that weird? It's fucking crazy.
I
Yeah.
don't really know about that.
Well, I looked it all up because I was all high on fucking Oxycontin, fucking feeling sorry for myself. And I tell you what, Oxycontin, I don't understand how people can get fucking addicted to that drug. It's really not that fun.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Oh,
I didn't-
Oxycontin.
yeah.
You know, I was thinking hydrocodone. I've never actually
No,
done.
I
I've
like
ne-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, hydrocodone's fun. I've never
No,
done
Oxycontin, no. It's fucking one of the boringest drugs in the world.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you literally just sit there and not care about the world. And it's just kind of, I don't know, and then it's like 10 hours later, and you're just kind of like,
depends on how much you want to escape what your real world is at that point.
I
If your real
guess.
world is real garbage, being
Yeah.
able to reach a point where you don't give a shit, there's probably some element of control there as well.
Sure, yeah. But I don't know, I was just kind of like, I just thought it was funny. I was, you know, addicted to Oxycontin. You're addicted to feeling bored.
I don't think
Awesome.
I've ever taken massive amounts of pain meds. When I
It actually doesn't prevent pain, or it just makes you not care that you're in pain. Like you still feel the pain, but you're just like, oh, okay, well, it hurts.
No, like when I broke my face a few years ago, and I was taking a bunch of pain meds, but I also had a traumatic brain injury, so I would sleep 90% of the time anyways.
Yeah.
That's- yeah.
You want to talk about the story? How do you hurt your face?
I got merged into by a semi-truck coming up on 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
I just tore half my car up, and I was really lucky. I just broke my eye socket and my cheekbone on this side.
Yeah. And you're probably in a small car too. Well, I mean, relative to a semi, I would imagine, right?
And so my face was swollen out like a straight inch.
Ooh, damn, dude.
So
Well, make sure I get a picture of that so I can put it on our thing.
I can send you a picture of that if you want.
Dude, no, send me a picture of the X-ray,
Oh.
and that'll be our plaque. Damn.
Wow.
Did
Did you notice anything change after the head injury, or do you feel pretty much the same before and after?
At this point, it's hard to say,
Yeah.
but I was scared shitless of just like losing my cognitive functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like having poor memory forever, having poor emotional regulation. There's a lot of things that I noticed immediately that I had to put in a lot of conscious effort to
process.
regain.
To process, yeah.
It's pretty it seems like it comes up a lot. I was just listening to Rogan when he was talking to Roseanne.
Barr?
Yeah, Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
And she was talking
I
about,
bother.
I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear her side of all her stuff. And his point is that she's, a crazy lady, and that why are we not treating her like a crazy lady? Because she's been institutionalized. She's legit, she's been institutionalized several times. Ooh, that's hardcore. We're looking at the picture of Emma's broken face.
Yeah, this is a normal side of my head. You can see how swollen this part is.
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore. But her story, she got hit by a car when she was 16, and it was the same thing. She was saying that before she got hit.
Barr?
Yeah.
Oh.
Before she got hit by the car, she was great at math. She loved geometry. She was really good in school.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said she got hit by the car. She lost all of her inhibitions, all her impulse control, and that her math skills were kind of gone.
Right.
And that who knows what she had or didn't have before, but there was a noticeable shift in personality pre and post getting hit by a car.
It's not funny because you only hear the stories of the person that gets hit by a car and then all of a sudden they fucking become a mathematician or whatever, or at least in memes or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's probably some things that are different, likely.
Yeah.
But it's been 5 years now,
Yeah.
almost. So this is who I am. I can't really compare myself to 5 years ago. Just no one can really compare themselves to 5 years ago. You're gonna be a different person regardless. If I was pushed in a particular direction as a result, who knows? But
It's hard to gauge impulse control, because I think that's a big thing. That's a big side effect of traumatic brain injury is impulse control.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of times the people that are suffering from impulse control issues don't necessarily see it themselves. It's more the people around them that notice the changes when people go through stuff like that
Right.
than it is the people calling themselves out. Sometimes it is, but I feel like
it's harder to recognize.
yeah.
For me, the one that I saw the biggest change that I could notice immediately was just my emotional regulation. And it sucked being able to calm myself out for it in a way, but it was just wildly up and down for no reason.
Right.
With very little
Right.
stimuli.
Right.
And I'd be why am I so upset by this? Or
Right.
why am I so angry? And I had to really put a lot of effort into thinking about why I'm feeling certain ways. person.
Oh, you're not crazy.
Oh.
Well,
We're all crazy.
But no, it's one I noticed most. But I put a lot of effort into my memory. That's why one of the reasons why I was really good at school, is because my memory was really good. So I don't think it's quite as good, but
It's scary. It makes me wish that stuff like that. Totally here.
Oh, sorry.
You it makes you wish the healthcare system was better, because I've had thoughts like that, and it's like, I mean, I was knocked out a couple times as a kid, and then I listened to all this CTE stuff now, and I'm like, I wonder, it'd be cool to go see an endocrinologist and see if maybe, there was something off.
Right.
You know what I mean? And maybe they're like, oh, there's this or that, and like some of the things that you've been dealing with for a long time, that like you said with your kind of issue, genetic issue, that like you thought, oh, this is just the way I am, and then you realize, no, actually there's this issue, and if you fix it, you'll feel way better.
Right.
And it's like, it'd probably be great for, I mean, me, I know I've been knocked out, you with an accident like that, I'm sure it'd be great to go to an endocrinologist and be like, hey, is everything like where it should be, and at least know that, and then, but I mean, it's so expensive, it's just not possible.
No, our medical system is so fucked.
Right.
Like, people avoid going to the doctor, or especially going to the hospital, because they don't know how much it's going to cost. And it's just being reactive rather than being proactive.
Right.
It's a really dumb way to work out there.
I think a lot of people in America live being okay being sick all the time.
Oh, who was it? There was a Nobel Prize winner that had to sell his Nobel Prize to pay for his cancer treatment. That was in the news a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
So if that's not a really big sign that things are a little fucked, I don't know what it is.
Right.
That's crazy. So he had the $1 million, and then he had to sell the prize itself. Oof. It's, our healthcare system is fucked. But anyway, to the eating thing, I don't know. I say I stress eat a lot. That'd be the one thing. I don't know if that's. It's definitely, food is definitely. There's definitely dysfunctional eating in kitchens.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. I would say it's not usually attached to like body dysmorphia issues so much. Maybe like bulimia. I don't know. Like I said, not eating would be hard, because even me, like I've tried to like. Okay, I'm gonna do the master cleanse fast, but I can't because I work and I have to. It just doesn't work. You know what I mean? So like, it would be really hard to be an anorexic cook.
Right.
Bulimic cook though, I could buy that. And a definitely dysfunctional eating cook, like.
Right. Or you could just be a cook that doesn't taste your food, and you're working at some fucking burger joint or whatever the fuck, and all you're really consuming all day is alcohol and cigarettes or whatever the fuck,
Yeah, I suppose.
I see a lot of that. I see a lot of people that don't eat at all.
I will say it's funny how often the people that are making your food are really hungry. Because I've been starving and making food for other people, and that is a funny kind of torture, because you're just making food for other people, and you're like, I'm so hungry, and you're like just looking at all this food.
Right. It almost becomes like kind of like unappealing. I don't know. For me, like I'll be so hungry, and then it just looks so unappealing. Doing the same fucking plate over and over and over again.
I can get to that point, but I mean, I don't know. It's just weird that you're being hungry. I find it better to be a little bit hungry at work though. Like I find it better to go into work a little hungry, because the flip side of that is it can be kind of gross to be cooking food and have to taste all this food when you're really full. Like when you eat a big meal and then you have to and then food, you can get to that stage where food is kind of grossing you out because you're just so full. Right. And then you got to make food. That's another weird thing. It's almost better to be hungry, because then everything's a little more appealing.
Right. Yeah. Like I remember this one time, Chef Carlsberg took me out for lunch, whatever. We worked a little bit, went to lunch, had a big old Thai lunch, and then came back to work. And I remember just being really full, and just like struggling to taste and struggling to put out food and all that shit.
Is it kind of like when you're really hungover and someone presents you with alcohol initially?
Yeah.
That's how I'm hearing it. It's like, it sounds like, ooh, do you want a Bloody Mary? And you're just kind of like, yeah, I want a Bloody Mary. But if you
Right.
really fucking struggling, like, I don't.
Yeah.
It's like,
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, it's just not fun. There's something about cooking too. When you're cooking, working with food, like you gotta at least be a little hungry to make it kind of fun. It just comes sort of, I don't know.
Well, I think
For me,
I think it kind of depends what you're cooking. I mean, if you're making things that you're proud of and that you want to be cooking, and it's kind of cool to like be doing stuff. Yeah, it's another thing to be like
Even
doing
that.
fucking corn dogs and shit. Really?
yeah,
Okay.
even that. It's like watching porn after you already jerked off. You know what I mean? It's like I like sex, I like porn, I like jerking off, but it's like when you're done, you're done, and you keep watching, and you're like, what? Yeah, what is this? I don't know. What am I doing? So it's kind of.
I need to find out what happens.
Yeah, you're cooking when you're full, like, you're like, oh, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I don't want it, versus, yeah, if you're watching porn after you already got off, like, I don't need this anymore. I don't want it.
Exactly. Because even when you're cooking for other people and you look at that dish and you're like, fuck yeah, that looks great. And then you send it out, like, hopefully you're not starving, but hopefully you're like, have enough, that you could eat in you that you're like, oh, that looks great. I would eat the fuck out of that. And then you send it out to somebody else, and that makes it kind of cool. But when you're stuffed, you just kind of look at it like,
yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
there you
exactly.
go. Enjoy. Bon appetit.
No, I don't know.
I don't know. I like when I'm cooking, I like to show up stoned. Like I know we've had this conversation already,
can't
but
do
like,
it,
man, I love it, dude. Like, I get so fucking in the zone.
I
Like I'll organize everything. I just cook and just, everything's just flowing. Tickets come in, just like, okay, I'll get done when it gets done, man.
Not even a little.
Really?
No,
Oh, dude.
God, there's girls who dance like stoned as shit. Like there's girls who just smoke their whole shift, and I'm like, how do you interact with anyone? / how are you on? Like I don't understand how you function as a stripper when you're really stoned. I don't get it.
I can see that.
Like I drink a bit at work typically, and that kind of like makes it easier. Just,
Right, that middle ground.
The middle ground,
Right.
but like being stoned at a club, hell no.
Do you think strippers like enjoy like when they're stoned and then stripping like it kind of makes their work environment better?
I think drinking makes the work environment
Well, I
better.
wouldn't-
In a way that you're in the zone, you don't care as much. You can flow more freely into shit that you need to do without getting stuck in your own head about it or overthinking what you're doing. You're just like, whatever. So getting stoned works with that and doesn't work for me. But I can't do anything that I'm high if I want it to be productive and functional.
Yeah, see, I can't do it drunk. I can't cook like drinking, whatever. Like we'll have those like once in a while we'll get like a shot or whatever at like fucking like 6 or 7. Oh, what? The fucking that shitty Chinese place that we worked or whatever. We were just drinking the whole time. Fucking just made it even worse. Just made it fucking miserable. I don't know. I just get.
You're a surly drunk too.
And I'm surly fucking drunk too.
He's a bit of a surly drunk.
Yeah. I don't know. Like how what do you like?
I don't really do drugs or alcohol when I work. I can't.
Yeah. You're saying that you don't like smoking at all. Yeah. So.
No, I don't.
Well,
really,
I mean, like when you're working.
Yeah, I don't really smoke when I work. I don't really drink when I work. I might drink like towards the end, like if you can kind of time it and you're wrapping up the shift.
Yeah, you're doing
and
the
you
last
have a
couple
drink or two,
orders,
and there's a couple other things to do, and then you have a beer, like at Rover's, we clean and have a beer.
Yeah,
that's fine.
nice.
I can do that, but I can't. I just lose.
Yeah.
I don't have much of a filter as it is when it comes to just saying what I do. Like, yeah, I know, right? I really don't have a filter. So, like, when I drink or smoke, I really don't have a filter. And it's just not conducive to a work environment. Because I'll just be like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do it.
Especially when you get stupid questions from servers or something.
I just don't. I just want to do what I want to do. I lose all motivation to do shit I don't feel like doing if I'm half in the bag.
At least French fries gluten-free, dude. I don't know.
It's not a good look.
Just go away.
I can't pull it off. But I've known cooks, like, it's funny how everybody, like, is so biodiverse and everybody interacts with, especially weed, differently. Like, I've known chefs that, they smoked every day before service, and they kind of needed it almost. They were, like, that high strung, they needed, like, something to melt, and they worked better on it, and it worked for them.
Right.
And that's great. And, I I was talking to a guy the other night that I work with that he was saying like he smokes and he just gets dizzy and it fucks like with his equilibrium and like he doesn't like he said he likes like he'll take a little hit and he kind of likes it, but like if he takes
stoned, like sit in a car and smoke.
Like he smokes 3-4 hits of a joint, he's just kind of spinning and he just doesn't enjoy it. It's not.
That happens to me as well. Like my depth perception goes to shit.
Yeah.
Like just interacting with my environment.
Yeah.
At all. It's fairly miserable. Like I'm trying to like put a glass down and I'm like. Like that's
or grabbing
not,
the pole. What happened to Emma? She ate it. She's fine.
I can't imagine.
That's part of the act.
That's part of the act. It's a very niche kind of fetish act where a girl comes out and tries to grab a pole and then lands flat on her face. And then she lies there for 10 minutes. Doesn't move much.
Some people are into that.
I'm sure somebody is.
Yeah. You're the one into like girls that jump in tubs full of ice.
What?
Didn't we have this conversation? Like,
No.
So it makes their like never mind.
So it makes them cold so they.
Yeah, so it makes them cold so it feels like you're having sex with a dead body.
Wow.
Right.
I mean, look, I'm not going to say that I didn't say that, because I probably did. But, I mean, I'm sure I was joking. And it's amazing that you retained that and then just put it back at me.
I thought it was so shocking at the time of you saying it. I think it was like when you start getting into your flow of being as disturbing as possible.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of those moments. And
Yeah.
I remember it because it was disturbing.
Well, I mean,
funny.
that's the game. As disturbing as possible. No, that was I remember when I came up with that line because I was talking to somebody about a guy. There was like a mutual friend and she was paraplegic and she was dating a guy and I was just like, wow, that's interesting. Just like, do they have sex? Does he just ask her not to move a lot? And then and I remember being with my friends and like I kept like going further and then I as I tend to do. And then got to that point, and like everybody was laughing, and then I said that, and everybody was like, "Whoa, dude, that's really dark." Like, what?
I think I was the only one laughing too.
I mean, not seriously.
Well, don't knock it until you try it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. But I would find it hard to be a stripper and be stoned because like interacting with people for me sometimes, especially when I'm high, like the last thing I want to do is talk to somebody that I don't know and have that strange interaction. Like, oh, I'd feel so self-conscious about that. It would be so weird. I'd just be like, oh, I can't do it. I'd just be, the anxiety would be terrifying.
I don't know. I've never met that.
Same.
Yeah.
But but again, for them, I'm sure it's great.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can work stoned. So.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah. Who knows? And then eating stone. That's a eating. I love fucking. I will never get tired of just getting really baked and eating terrible food. Like just eating junk food while stoned is.
Yeah. Well, how about like going to a nice restaurant? Do you get stoned before you go to like say you know you're going to go on date night with whoever or your wife, and you go out to a nice place and you're taking her out to a nice place.
Probably my wife.
Your girlfriend, whatever. Do you prefer to get stoned before